The first daughter has come out in favor of Mr. Moore's accusers. Advisor to U.S. President Donald Trump, his daughter Ivanka Trump, speaks at a fireside chat on tax reform. FREDERIC J. BROWNAFPGetty Images Ivanka Trump has spoken out against Senate candidate Roy Moore, saying that there is a special place in hell for people who prey on children. Ms. Trump's comments came days after UAL misconduct allegations against Mr. Moore first surfaced. 4 women told The Washington Post last week that the Senate candidate had pursued them when they were teenagers and he was in his 30s. Others have accused him of unwanted UAL contact. Mr. Moore has denied the allegations, saying he has not been guilty of UAL misconduct with anyone. President Donald Trump has yet to comment on them, despite repeated questions from the press. Ms. Trump, however, was resolute in her interview with the Associated Press. "I've yet to see a valid explanation and I have no reason to doubt the victims' accounts," the first daughter and presidential advisor said. More than a dozen Senate Republicans have urged Mr. Moore to drop out of the Senate race in Alabama in the wake of the allegations. The chairman of the National Republican Senatorial Committee has suggested he be expelled from the Senate if he wins. The Republican National Committee has reportedly cut off funding to his campaign. But in Alabama, Mr. Moore still appears to be clinging to support. The latest polls show Mr. Moore leading his Democratic opponent by an average of 2 points, and local community leaders are speaking out on his behalf. One local pastor called the Republican Party a bunch of sissies for asking Mr. Moore to step aside. "I don't desert my friends just on mere accusations, I require evidence," said Pastor David Gonell of the Magnolia Springs Baptist Church in Theodore, Alabama. He told Fox News 10 that the allegations were, perhaps satanically motivated, and questioned why the accusers took decades to come forward. Roy Moore says he doesn't generally remember dating teenage girls while in his 30s. State Representative Ed Henry had similar concerns. He believes legal action should be taken against the accusers for their years of silence. If they believe this man is predatory, they are guilty of allowing him to exist for 40 years, he told the Cullman Times. "I think someone should prosecute and go after them. You can't be a victim 40 years later, in my opinion." Mr. Moore, meanwhile, has pledged to stay in the race, despite the chorus of Republicans asking him to drop out. At a press conference on Wednesday, his attorney attempted to discredit one of his accusers, asking her to turn over a high school yearbook she said Mr. Moore had signed for forensic analysis. Minutes later, a 6th woman came forward, claiming the former judge had grabbed her rear end during a child custody case in 1991. "This is not a politics thing with me," accuser Tina Johnson told Elle.com of her decision to come forward. "It's more of a moral and religious thing." More about Roy Moore. Ivanka Trump reuse content. "We use cookies to enhance your visit to our site and to bring you advertisements that might interest you. Read our privacy and cookie policies to find out more."